everyone, welcome to the So Essential vlog. I'm Lucy and I'm here today to share with you my latest make. So as usual, I've got a couple of things to show you. The first one is this romper slash play suit, whatever you want to call it. And the second one is a lovely denim skirt that I've made. So as usual today, everything I talk about, the patterns and the fabrics, are available on our site, and the link to our website's below. And I'll also blog about them in due course, and you'll find the link to our blog below. But yeah, let me get started. So it's been a bit of a funny month sewing wise this month actually. So I knew what I wanted to make. I'm going on a winter sun holiday in October. Yay, can't wait for that. And I just was looking at what I'd got in my wardrobe, and you know when there's a couple of things that you kind of always reach for those sun holidays that are looking a bit tatty and a bit tired, and I thought really I'm a bit short on the poolside stuff, the just casual, comfortable, cool things that you want to just sling on over your swimsuit and mooch about in. So I decided to make this romper or play suit. And I looked at the pattern. It's McCalls 7755, and I thought this looks like a super easy sew. It looks like nice and easy to fit. I'm sure I can whip it up in no time, and I decided that this beautiful turquoise fabric was absolutely perfect for that whole holiday vibe. You know, you always want, well I do, I always want lovely bright colours when I'm on holiday. It's also a really sort of drapey viscosy jersey, so it's got lots of movement. I knew it would work really well for this pattern. I knew it would hang really nicely, but feel lovely and cool as well, which is obviously very important. So yeah, I looked around at the different jumpsuit patterns and playsuit patterns, and I stumbled across McCalls 7755. Thought this looks nice and easy. Had a look at the sizings, and the sizings range from a 29.5-inch bust up to a 44-inch bust, a 22-inch waist up to a 37-inch waist, and a 31.5-inch hip up to a 46-inch hip. Now, I should have fallen in the medium range, really, judging by my waist and hip and bust measurements, really. And I can't remember what it was that made, I've made these McCalls patterns before that come in extra small, small, medium and large. I knew it would probably come up massive. I knew it was not a very fitted design. So I think I measured the pattern pieces actually, or no, what I did was I looked at the finished garment measurements. That's what I did, which are handily on the back of the packet actually. And I could see there was loads and loads of ease in this pattern. And I just thought, you know, I need to make the small, and I'm really glad I did. You know, I mean, my waist is a 29-inch waist, and the suggested waist for a small is a 24 to 25. Now, if you look at this, when I take the waist tie off, there is tons and tons of room there for me. I really didn't need to make a bigger size. So yeah, that's just a handy little tip. I always think with those sort of small, medium, large patterns that McCalls do, just have a look at those finished garment measurements, because they do generally come up pretty big. But yeah, it was a super simple sew, apart from the fact I was just having, I don't know what's happened this month, but I've just had a complete sort of brain freeze over a couple of really simple sewing issues that have just caused me a whole load of nightmares. So this pattern, I would say, should take somebody with a bit of sewing experience, maybe like 1 or 2 evenings to make, and it just dragged on. It took me about 4 or 5 evenings to make, but all because I made silly mistakes. It's dead simple construction. You just cut out 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces, and then you've just got the necktie and the waist tie. So the necktie goes through a casing at the top there, which is also on the back pieces, and then ties at the back. You've got these lovely slits here. I'm wearing a bikini underneath, so it's not too revealing. That's what I would be wearing on holiday. And there's a slit down the back as well. So yeah, dead simple sew. All you've got to do is sew the V's, finish the edges of the V's, sew the centre front seam and the back seam, the crotch seam and the side seams, and then you just fold the fabric over at the top to create your casing, and then make a simple tie which threads through. It really is just a few simple steps, but let me tell you about some of the stupid things I did this month. So the first thing I did was I started making it, and I didn't think to stabilise the armholes and the neckline. And as I started making it, I thought this fabric's really drapey. It's going to need washing a lot because I'm going to be wearing it on holiday by the pool, putting it on over a wet swimsuit and that sort of thing. I thought I really need to give it some extra stability. So I think I'd already sewed some of the V's and thought, actually I need to unpick that, and I need to iron on some of our stretch interfacing just onto the edges to give it that stability. So that was mistake number one. Then the next mistake I made was I cut the pattern at the front along the fold line where you needed to fold the casing over, rather than along the seam line where it needed to be sewed. So that was brilliant, and I didn't realise that until a little bit of a way into the making, at which point I thought, oh my God, is this a joke? You know, what's happening here? I'm just losing all of my, scruples, and I've obviously lost all my sewing skills. So I had to think then, okay, how do I fix that? So what I did was I cut an extra piece of fabric and sewed it on, because I thought that will be folded down anyway, so you wouldn't see it. Plus it's gathered here, so yeah, fixable, not ideal, but fixable. So that was that. And then the next thing I struggled with was I thought I'm going to use my cover stitch machine to finish all the edges really professionally, give it a really nice finish. And just started having lots and lots of problems with my trusty Baby Lock cover stitch machine, and I could not understand why. That machine, I tell you, every time I sew a seam, every time I sew a cover stitch or an overlock stitch, it's the Baby Lock Desire 3, which is a cover lock machine, so it does both. Flawless results every time, never had a problem. I've had it for years and it's awesome. I can't speak highly enough of it, but for some reason I just couldn't get the cover stitch right and I couldn't work it out, and I sewed scraps and scraps. I was testing, kept rethreading it, kept thinking, what am I doing wrong? This went on all evening, one evening, at which point I was ready to throw it out of the window. I was convinced there was something wrong with it. Couldn't possibly be me. I've used it a million times before. Sort of spoke to Ed, my husband, about it. He's a bit of a whiz with machines and stuff, and he asked me a couple of the usual questions. Have you rethreaded it? Have you changed the needle? Yes, of course, I've done all of those things. Decided to sleep on it, and then the next day realised that I hadn't threaded it properly, and I'd been doing it from memory, and I'd threaded the looper as if I was threading for an overlock stitch rather than a cover stitch, where you have to go through a few other thread paths for a cover stitch. So what I will say is, remarkably, it still did produce quite a good stitch, even though I threaded it incorrectly, which I think is massive, and a massive sort of affirmation of how excellent Baby Lock machines are. But I wanted to share that with you guys, just to show that, I come on here every month and I tell you about all the things I've made, and I love telling you about how much fun I've had. But there are those times, I think, for all of us, no matter how long you've been sewing, where you're just tearing your hair out and you can't work out why things are going wrong, and then it turns out it was you all along. So that's what happened to me. But actually, if you ever did want to make this pattern, super simple sew. If you're not being a wally and threading your machine wrong, actually fantastically easy pattern. Really highly recommend it for a beginner especially, or somebody like me if you're more experienced but you just want to whip something quick up for the holidays. So I'll just show you. It comes to just above my let's have a look, show you on here. There you go, you can see the length. So it's not ridiculously short, but it's a nice sort of length, I think, for holiday. It comes with this waist tie, which I haven't actually finished the ends of yet. I need to do that. But lovely and loose and cool, as I say. Really easy to fit, no problems with it, the crotch seam not being right or anything, because there's that much ease in it. There was just no need to worry about any of that, which was great. And it also comes in jumpsuit version as well, so the full length trousers as well. and there's like a variation where you can do sort of slits up the side. So yeah, just I think a really excellent pattern. I definitely think this is just my ideal holiday playsuit sort of pattern. And I, you know, although I had all those issues making it, it was my own stupid fault. And if you guys made it, I'm sure you wouldn't make any of those silly mistakes and you'd really enjoy it. So yeah, great pattern. Really pleased with the fabric choice as well, and can't wait to get on that holiday and wear it. Before I tell you about my next make as well, I think I should have just expanded a little bit on stretch interfacing because, which I mentioned in the last make. So I used it to stabilise the slits at the front and the back and the armholes. I just wanted to mention it because it's a really fantastic product and it's quite difficult to find sometimes. And not many people know about it, but when you're working with knit and jersey fabrics, it can be a real godsend for just stabilising those sorts of areas. So you can find it on our website. We do it in black and white, and it's with all the other interfacings. I think it's in the dressmaking interfacing. So as always, the link to our site is below. You can get on and have a look there. But any questions, just drop them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer, of course. But on to the next make, which is my Tilly and the Buttons Ness skirt. So this is the second one of these I've made because I loved it so much the first time I made it. The first time I made it in a needle cord, and the best thing about this pattern for me was that this never happens, but it just fit perfectly straight out of the packet, which was amazing. So I knew I could whip this up fairly quickly. I knew I didn't have to faff around with fit, and it's an incredibly satisfying sew as well, this pattern is, because there's lots of lovely techniques in there. You've got the proper pockets, which I have lined with this lovely fabric which I used to make a Tilly and the Buttons Seren dress recently. If you saw that, I'll just show you. There's the fly front zip, and there's I've used the same fabric to line at the waistband. I don't know if you can see that there, as I have to line the pockets, and that was quite nice to sort of use some of those leftovers from that project. There's lots of top stitching details, so you do faux flat felled hems, which is a really nice technique she suggests there, which is much easier than actually the traditional method for sewing flat felled seams much easier sort of method for that. There's some nice top stitching on the pockets. I think the waistband and the yoke, the fit for me around there was really, really good. It just feels like it fits like a glove, to be honest, and I just love it. So I've made the mini version again. There is a midi length version, or knee length version I should say. It's about knee length, I think. Oh no, it is midi, it's a bit longer. But I've made the mini version, and I've made it in one of our beautiful new denims, which is on the site now. We've added loads of new denims recently, so if you haven't already, you should get on and have a look at those. And I just love this lovely vibrant blue colour of this one. And the idea behind this make really was, again, just ticking a box for my holiday. I just needed a couple more outfits to wear in the evening, so I would probably wear this top, which is a ready to wear, and this skirt and sandals on an evening when I just want to feel a bit more casual. But also, you know, I will wear this skirt all the time, just at home, everywhere. I mean, you know, who doesn't need a denim skirt in their life? I can wear it in my trainers, t-shirts, sweatshirts. But I just really love the fit of it. As I say, that's my favourite thing about it. I just think it's really flattering and figure hugging without being too tight. So that's great. So the Tilly and the Buttons Ness skirt, I'll just run through the sizes with you for anyone who's not aware. The waist starts at a 24 inch and goes up to a 38. The hip starts at a 33 inch and goes up to a 47. I made a size 3, which is for a 28 inch waist and a 37 inch hip, which is about sort of bang on really, I suppose. I think my waist is more like a 29, to be honest. But yeah, I remember last time I made a toile of the size 4 and it was massive, it was really big. And then I'd sort of read a few reviews of the skirt and lots of people said they felt the sizing came up a little bit big. So, but if ever you're in doubt, just make make a toile anyway. But yeah, some lovely sort of features, but again had a funny one with this skirt. So I knew how to make it, I'd made it before, having a whale of a time using my jeans needles, which we stock on the site, using my top stitch needle for the top stitching, which again we stock on the site. I don't think there was anything else special that I used. I used top stitch thread obviously for the top stitching, but merrily sewing away, had a really nice day sewing when the kids were back at school. And then I got to the bar tacks, and I just want to show you this. I brought this into work to show you the scrap of shame where I had to try and get my bar tacks right, and I just felt like I was doing millions and millions of them. And again, this is one of those moments of madness. I've done them before, I know how to do them. There's a lovely setting on my Husqvarna diamond machine that I can choose that stitch, and it does them beautifully and professionally, and I just couldn't get them to work. My machine was throwing a hissy fit. It was just so stressful. And I kept trying and trying and trying. I did a couple on the skirt and almost ruined it. I had to try and unpick them. It was horrible. And then I decided to just go to bed. I thought I need to step away from the vehicle and just go to bed and try again tomorrow. So I went upstairs, got into bed. I was talking to my husband, telling him all about the perils of it. He looked totally glazed over and bored, obviously. But it was when I was telling him about the issues, I had the light bulb moment that I was trying to do a bar tack with top stitch thread. Now that is not going to work. I realised I should have been doing it with a normal thread. And I suppose I just wanted to share that again, guys, because I just want to let you know that it happens to us all. We all have these crazy moments and these projects where there's things that you just have done a million times before, and then for some reason they're not working and you can't work out why. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I'm sure it's not. But anyway, it was just another one of those funny instances. There's obviously something weird going on with me this month. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I'm really pleased with the end result. I got the bar tacks right in the end. The great thing about bar tacks is you can use them to cover up a multitude of sins as well if your top stitching goes a bit wrong or whatever, so I've done that. The waistband, I've just got a little bit of exposure of the lining going on there, so I could do trying to sort that out. I used one of our jeans buttons which you just hammer on, which is always nice and fun. And yeah, I'm just really pleased with this make. I know I'll get tons and tons of wear out of it. I only ever make a pattern a second time if I really love it, and I think I've only done it like 2 or 3 times, so that is a definite massive sort of affirmation for how much I love the Tilly and the Buttons Ness skirt. So yeah, so that's all my makes for this month. I'm going to be getting a bit more autumnal and wintry probably in the coming months, because we're now heading into that time of year, sadly. I wish I could hold on to summer forever. And one thing I'm contemplating at the moment, if I can find the time, which I'm hoping I can, is I'm thinking about making a coat with one of our lovely wool mix fabrics that we've got. We've got a whole range of coating fabrics on the website. If you're interested, have a look. Obviously I've got my mother-in-law and founder of Sew Essential to pick her brains, because she's made lots of coats and jackets and done tailoring and stuff before, so I'll be getting lots of tips from her. But if any of you out there have some great tips for coat making, send them in the comments, put them below. I'd be really interested to hear them. And that's it from me this week. I hope you've enjoyed today. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.